What the hell am I supposed to do with this thing here? I've had this thing for 3 years. It's been on the shelf of doom forever. And I don't know whether to go ahead and try to fix it or what. I love it. I've had it for about 3 years, I guess now. Built it, put my own flavor on it. Instead of doing British green, I went with just a straight silver and a black top. It has the stock tires on it right now. And let me tell you, these tires are not worth a darn for nothing. It was a fun kit to build, man. It was. And the body details on it are pretty solid. You know, it's got a half cage up here on the front. Hope the camera will pick that up. It's got a half a cage in the front, goes from the pillars there and comes back up, attaches up here at these points on the roof, and then comes back and attaches back here as well on both sides. It also does have, like it matters, but it has a spare on the back. I really, really like that body. I do. And when I got this thing, I put it together bone stock and ran it for a while and thought that maybe I could get some more out of it. Now, the reason why it looks like it's doing a Carolina squat, for Christ's sake, is I don't have shocks on the back right now, and I'll show you guys why in just a minute. But I thought I could get more out of it, and I started playing with tire choices, different wheels. You know, using aluminum wheels instead of these plastic jobs adds weight on each corner. A different, like I said, different tires, different compounds of tires, and it did really well. But I never had a chance to get it on like a crawler course. Now, mind you, is it going to crawl? Probably not, but it would have made a really good trail truck. And so I don't know whether to do that now or just pull the body, pull what parts I can off of it, and just move on and build another. Pretty cool thing about it, I did put an RC four-wheel drive 80-turn motor in there, and I'll pull the body in a minute. I'll show you guys. But the front has a differential. It's kind of odd, but it did have a differential up front. I pulled the differential and I locked it up so it pulls positive all the time, which helped it out tremendously on just a trail situation. The rear is like a straight axle, and it is locked when you build it. And so it was kind of odd to have a locked rear and an open diff on the front to me, so I went ahead and locked that front diff also. It doesn't have shocks on the front either, but I think it's still in here. Let me look. Yeah, I made my own tiny lift kit for the front. And why is kind of it sounds kind of crazy, but there is a reason why. So let me pull the body off and I'll start to get into it, and we'll make a plan to see what we can do with this thing, or we'll just get it out of the way. Turn RC four-wheel drive crawler motor, just like I told you guys. And then we start to come back. Everything looks about halfway decent back here. And then we come to the front, where I chose to hack the front and slam off. Let me tell you what, the steering on this thing, bone stock, kind of sucked because there was an arm here. The servo sat over here, and obviously there was a rod came over to this, and there was like a 90-degree joint here, and it just, it just didn't seem to work like it needed to. And then I started seeing it, the steering angle was only such and such, but it wouldn't turn all the way. And I thought, well, you know what? I could make a plate to come up here, mount a servo in here somehow, have a tie rod coming to this side, and then a rod coming over here to connect them both, about like a crawler, And so that was the intent to do. It. And I got this far and decided, you know what? Why am I doing this? Because it's still independent front suspension on each side, as you can see, And then there's the issue with, absolutely no steering angle. But I didn't consider some things. So now I'm thinking I could probably hodgepodge a set of knuckles from another kit of some sort to allow it to have a lot more throw to both sides. Still mount the servo in the center and make my own, my steering links here. But I just don't know. Then I got to figure out something as far as the shock and the shock mounting positions. Is awful dark under there, and I apologize. I got to get better lighting, guys, and I know it, but just bear with me. But I got to figure out something as far as the front shocks. We get back here, there was an issue with battery replacement. Now, this is before I realized I could actually get lipos that would fit this hole over here. I didn't know. Now I've got some, so battery replacement isn't an issue. But me being the one that won't leave anything alone, this is something else that I did. Let me grab it, flip her up on the end. This is what's so cool about this little rig. I made my own 4-link suspension for the back. These pieces here were plastic, just plastic, flat plastic bars that had metal balls on, you know, for this position and this position on both sides. And I just can't leave it be. So I made these here and put those on it. And I made the locators here also. Now the drive shaft itself was provided in the kit. That's super cool. That's the only reason, well, one of the reasons why I made the links. It's just because I had to, I mean, hell, we had a steel shaft for drive shaft, but plastic rods for, you know, for locators and links there. So this is what I wanted to do. And when I did it, man, you know, you're talking about more, you got more flex in it there, but now we got another problem. And that problem is where to mount the shocks. Because the shocks, they had a different mounting position that tied into the rod, the rods that were for the suspension. If I'm not mistaken, this has been 3 years, so I may be telling you something wrong. And if I am, I apologize. But I can't figure out how to mount the shocks now. And oh shoot, shock ties in here, then would come down and have to mount to this axle somewhere. But there's no attachment points on that axle. So after I got to that, I figured, well, maybe I could find something and actually attach it to the suspension link. Came up with nothing for that. And that's when this thing just, you know, I took it and said, you know what? I'm going to pull the electronics out of it, use it on something else, and this thing will just sit. So that's why it's in the condition that it's in now. So there we are, man, and that is why I'm putting this video together. What do I do with this damn thing? What do I do with it? Do you guys want to see me do something with this truck? Is it worth putting a little time and effort into it? Maybe a little bit of money, because I know there's parts to be bought. But should I do anything with it, or should I just put it back on the shelf and let her rot? Dead serious. If you guys want to see some kind of content with that thing down there, please let me know, and I'll get started on it, or I'll put it in line. I got a couple more I want to finish first. But I'll put it in line. We'll get that thing ready by spring at least. But let me know, is it worth putting the time in? Is it not? Should I just keep the body, trash everything else besides that motor? I'm going to keep that motor. Should I do something with it? Let me know. Because I'm lost. I'm drawing a blank. Hope you guys are happy, healthy. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.